Hello, and you're very welcome to Upping the Ante here in the Ante-Post in association with 188Bet. This is Johnny Ward sitting in for David Jennings, who has the week off, but Gavin Lynch, who's a regular on the Friday Night Light circuit, does not. And Gavin is here to discuss what happened over the weekend and what may happen in the future. And Gavin is usually quite good at predicting that. But one thing you wouldn't have wanted to predict was Douvan's being out for the season, Gavin. And you just made the point coming in that if he runs again at Cheltenham, he'll probably be a 9-year-old. And I was making the point that he's probably 100 to 1 now to ever run against Altior.
Yeah, it's a huge pity, isn't it? Like, one of the jewels we wanted to see at Cheltenham was Altior and Douvan. So to have that taken away it's a huge pity, yeah. And obviously Min will go to that race, you'd imagine now.
Yeah, we've Queen Mother betting here, and I was just making the point. This is the quotes from 188Bet. 9-2 Politolog to win at this stage. It's hard to believe. A horse to start off an Exeter and a handicap this season. Yeah,
I couldn't have him in my mind. Also, I think
what do you like?
I like Altior, but I won't back him until the vibes are positive that he's maybe had an outing beforehand or a spin in a race course and he's fully fit. Because the last time, obviously, Altior and Min met, Altior beat him by 7 lengths in the Supreme. At the moment, the handicapper has £10 between them. So 6-4 and 3-1 doesn't match up to that. But I'll back Altior on the day if the vibes are positive.
The three horses I thought would win the Champion Chase or could win it this year, one of them won't run and the other two may not run either. One of them is obviously Altior. The other one is Great Field, who I thought was a viable alternative. And he may sort of return around February time, but it is opening the door for a left field kind of peak at this stage, isn't it?
Yeah, certainly to be in the first three, you could get one from left field, yeah, for sure. But Altior sets a huge standard of 170.
Just before we go, Douvan, Willie says, he's the best horse that he's ever had, and we've no reason to believe that he's wrong on that. But the form book isn't going to back this up at this stage unless we see him again.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, he's won the Arkle and he's won the Supreme, and even at that, maybe his best performances weren't at Cheltenham, to be honest. They were probably mostly at Leopardstown, but yeah, it's just a huge pity. He's a fantastic horse, so hopefully we do get to see him the year after next.
And you mentioned his Cheltenham performances. My Enter Yours finally delivers at Cheltenham with victory in the International Hurdle on Saturday. 16-1 now to win the Champion Hurdle, and it might not be the daftest suggestion in the world, is it?
Well, it's actually funny that Saturday was the first time that My Enter Yours won at Cheltenham in 6 starts, but he's been second in the Supreme, he's been second in the Champion Hurdle 3 years in a row. But they're basically fighting for third as far as I can see. Faugheen and Bouverdare are way clear of the rest. Mellon, My Enter Yours, etc. I don't know who's going to be third, but I can't see anything outside the top 2. Can you?
Well, I like Mellon's run on Saturday in many respects, but he's still a long way from winning a Champion Hurdle, and I was going on his form as a novice. He wasn't good enough, to my mind, to win a Champion Hurdle, but he didn't settle, and he was still bang there jumping the last. So
to me, he jumps a hurdle like he really wants a fence. He's clearing his hurdles by a couple of feet, and yeah, he may finish third, but as I said, I think that's going to be one of the battles at Cheltenham, those two there.
Will they both show up?
Hopefully. Obviously, Faugheen didn't last year, but Bouverdare was fantastic last year and Faugheen the previous year, but hopefully they show up. Yeah, it'll be a great duel.
Bullet to the head, who do you want to back at 7-4 or 9-4 there?
I would back Faugheen, but again, I'm going to wait till the day because I don't think Faugheen will be much shorter.
Yeah, I'd be with you on that. Now we'll move on to the Triumph Hurdle. We've an interesting situation here where basically JP McManus is completely dominating this market. And what we also have, Gavin, which I would certainly advise people if they're having a bet on this, the possibility of Apple Shakira going the Mayor's Novice route, I think, shouldn't be completely underestimated. But we've 7-2 Apple Shakira, who won at Tenzon on Saturday, and we've 9-1 Esport who's trained by Gavin Cromwell.
Yes. I think Apple Shakira will show up here. It's probably a 90% chance. But
you think 90%?
I do. I think that there's a good chance she will show up here. Esport sets a good standard. I tipped it up before. We Have a Dream was very impressive in Doncaster. And one thing to mention was Stormy Ireland, that won in Fairyhouse on Saturday.
This was an outstanding performance. Basically, Pench lead at the start, motivator filly, and she won by a distance. And the
58 lengths officially. It's just interesting that the time of her race was 4 minutes 12. The second horse in that race was 4:24, right? And there was 2 other 2-mile races ran on Saturday in Fairyhouse. Colreevy won the bumper in 4:23 and Golden Jewel won the handicap hurdle at 4:23. So she actually, in theory, won the bumper and the handicap hurdle by 58 lengths as well. You can't go by it, 100%, but it was a very impressive time.
Normally as well, when times are very strong, it's that an even pace was dictated, and she just went start to finish, gate to wire, and she jumped brilliantly, and better ground being my motivator should never be a problem.
Yeah, the speed she went, it was a bit like Undersow a few years ago. She just went lickety-split from the start, but stayed at it the whole way. So a week ago we had maybe 2 great candidates for the Triumph. Now we've got 4 that would have a chance.
Yeah, because we were saying this at the Race Post Christmas party the other night. This is one of the races, if you fancy someone at this stage, something might well emerge between now and even Christmas.
Yeah, it's a race that it's not like a novice chase like an Arkle, where we've seen them as hurdlers, or in the JLT you've seen them as hurdlers. Whereas here, there's going to be a 6 or 8 to 1 shot in the day we haven't even heard of yet.
Yeah, I think it's really shaping up to be an exciting race. It's interesting to see what the McManus kind of team actually does between now and
interesting which one Barry picks on the day too.
It'll be a tough call. I mean, I thought Apple Shakira was definitely quite impressive on Saturday. She doesn't look much like her sister Apple Jade. She's quite a different type of a horse.
No, her jumping was very good,
she's very good, and even though they went a decent enough gallop, she was still a little keen, so a Triumph hurdle is going to suit her down to the ground, I think.
And the other thing is that she's won twice at Cheltenham, once on the old course and once on the new, and the Triumph hurdle is on the new course, so she has that experience, which is good.
You're talking about Cheltenham, next destination, right? So he wins the Navan Grade 2 on Sunday. Now, the big debate is, I think the front of the Racing Post this morning, where is his next destination? Where is his next destination?
Yes.
He's 6 to 1 here for the Ballymore at the moment. The problem with that is he's running against Sam Crow. But the other problem, of course, is he might not run the race.
Well, you've backed Sam Crow, so I think Willie Mullins will do you a favour and run him in the Bartlett just for your bet.
The two things are related, but anyway, yeah.
I think he probably 60-40 that he'll go for the Bartlett, I think.
60-40.
I would go for the Bartlett as a guess, but I'd say Willie Mullins doesn't even know at this stage. What will be interesting on the 7th of January is Sam Crow is due to run in the Grade 1 in Naas, and it'll be interesting because it's only 3 weeks away. Perhaps Willie Mullins might run Get Aboard in that, and then that would have a bearing on which race that next destination might go for.
And it is fascinating, because you couldn't say one race would necessarily suit more than the other at the moment, because Navan over 2.5 is so stiff. But I'm obviously a fan of Crack and Smart, and I thought Crack and Smart, if he ran in the 4 miler as a novice chaser, judging on his performance on Sunday, would actually struggle to lie up. I thought he looked painfully slow. Now maybe that's as good as he is, and that's my one proviso about the performance of Next Destination. I don't know if he bet a lot. I genuinely don't.
Yeah, I don't think that was the real Crack and Smart, is my opinion. I tipped him up for Cheltenham as well for this race, the Bartlett. And one thing that I loved in his previous races was the way he travelled. He travelled fantastic in Punchestown. He travelled brilliant in Cork. But the other day he was gone before they turned in. I thought he was
gone before they turned in.
Yeah,
that was the point.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe he finished 2nd. So I think if he gets a complete break between now and Cheltenham, he could be in the first 3 at Cheltenham. I wouldn't totally give up on Crack and Smart yet, because he's better than that, I think.
Yeah, we see 188 bet are 12 to 1. One of their rivals actually cut him into 8 to 1 for the Albert Bartlett yesterday, which some of these Ante-Post revisions they make just it really boggles the mind.
Well, I'll give you another example. There's Footpad for the Arkle. He gets cut and cut and cut, and all he's beaten is Brelade. Brelade has been beaten a couple of times since.
Several times.
And he still gets cut, but he doesn't drift out a bit, even though Brelade keeps getting beat,
Yeah, it's really, the novices are shaping up fascinatingly. Anything else over the weekend? You tipped up Moulin Avant in a previous visit here to kind of, I suppose, come good and delivered at the weekend as well.
Yeah, it did well. Won very well in Ferryhouse on Saturday. I just wonder would Noel Meade be tempted, primarily because Nina will be riding it, to possibly run it in the 4 miler. To have Nina on board a horse in that race is a £7 advantage. That might tempt him. A couple of other Irish horses, just a local level to keep an eye on over the Christmas, might be Golden Pearl. Won his first handicap on Saturday for Eddie Cawley. He didn't think it was fully fit. That won well. And a horse, a mare in the bumper, Ona Corralas. She'd had 2 starts and maiden hurdles, 6th and 7th. She finished 2nd to Colreevy in the bumper in Ferryhouse. Stayed on very, very well. Was 7 lengths clear. If she gets into a mare's bumper in the next few weeks, I think she'll win.
We've got to mention Rhinestone.
Yeah.
If they're going to name a horse Rhinestone, the McManus operation,
yes,
you'd have some idea that he must be fairly decent. Now, they obviously, JP didn't own Rhinestone Cowboy, but one of my favourite horses back in the day. This horse was fancied out of the way on his debut in a tactical 3-runner race. He was beaten, and then we got word sort of Saturday night that he might be taking on a machine in the Winnie Mullins trained newcomer in Thurles. He absolutely destroyed him. It was a fair performance.
It was a brilliant performance, and again the time was very fast. I think it was 8 seconds quicker than the handicap hurdle, which is a lot. That's a half a furlong is 8 seconds. It's usually 15 to 16 seconds a furlong. But Rhinestone, change of tactics, made all with Derek O'Connor. It certainly would be up there with Holographic as 2 early contenders for the Cheltenham bumper, definitely.
And JP has one other horse as well that Nick Gifford trains, the one in Lingfield on the all-weather, by presenting.
You mentioned this to me the other day.
Yeah, I forget his name. It's one of those kind of 3 names into one. But he was really impressed. So I think JP definitely has a strong hand there, and obviously Holographic as well. We shall look for something Ante-Post now.
Yeah, I've got a couple of selections for Christmas, and I have one for Cheltenham. So I'll give you the Cheltenham one first.
Yeah. Let's go for Cheltenham first. I'll give 1 or 2 for Cheltenham as well.
Okay. The one that I'm going to tip up is Undissolved for the Ryanair. Obviously, it's a 9-year-old turning 10, which is a slight negative, but it won the race very, very easily last year. It's 19 wins from 25 starts, 9 from 14 over fences. It was 5 lengths clear the whole way around. It bolted up, tied up on the run in to win by a length and a half. One thing to note last year is that the ground was officially good, which would have been a negative for the horse. You know, he loves a bit of cut in the ground.
He beat nothing last year.
Correct.
That's the only thing.
He beat Sublute 10 into his rate of 161, so I agree with you there. This year, he's more to beat. But if you look, again, the usual story with the Ryanair is there's lots and lots of horses in the betting that are going to run in champion chases and Gold Cups.
Like the York Hill or Min.
Yeah, they're all in there. And also, Min now going to the champion chase, we'd imagine, is a help to Undissolved's chances. But things like Jackie Damon, Might Bite and all those, they're not going to show up there, or Politolog. It has won in Otay over 2.5, 2 mile 5 actually in Otay, on soft to heavy ground, the Prix La Barca. It's going to go to the Clarence House, try and win that for the 3rd year in a row. I just think last year went off 7-4. I agree with you, it was a weaker race, but the only real dangers at the moment would be Fox Norton and Top Notch. Top Notch won the other day, the Peterborough Chase in Taunton. But I think Undissolved sets a high standard. At 9-2 with 188 bet, I think that's good value.
And even in the days of global warming, like, you're not going to get softish ground at Cheltenham for him to run a champion chase, you would have thought. You know?
No, I don't think so.
And he seems to retain all his enthusiasm. I'm going to give Super Sunday for the stairs hurdle, just in the sense that, a bit like Gavin's kind of point there, he will run in the race, and you're talking about horses that may or may not run in the race, and I think he will run at Leopardstown at Christmas. He won't have his ground, and he's just being prepped for one race. And
I think Super Sunday is a great chance.
Yeah, I think he's 16-1 with 188 bet. So he would be my selection. And so it's shaping up interestingly at Cheltenham at the moment. There's, just as we always expect in December, there's so many ifs and buts about where horses are going to run.
There is. Well, you just see even there, like Douvan is now gone, so people that back that have lost their money. But that's the joys, unfortunately, of Ante-Post betting. If you're going to do it, you have to be able to take it on the chin.
Final question for you. So, Sizing John or York Hill in the, what was the Lexus and now is the...
I think it's a very, very difficult question. I'd have them as, on the day, 2 7-4s. I think possibly York Hill, but he'd want to be fully fit to beat Sizing John, who sets a huge standard. But 2 brilliant horses. Obviously, York Hill has to go left-handed. I think he's won 8 or 9 times. He's unbeaten going left-handed. The form of the JLT last year has worked out fantastically as well with Disco, Politolog, etc. So it'll be a brilliant race. I'd say there'll be a huge crowd if the 2 of them show up. It'll
be fantastic, yeah. And I suppose it's like Sizing John or York Hill. You've one word to answer, and the answer is York Hill.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. What a cracker that will be. And 4 days of great racing at Leopardstown and Limerick. Is there anything at this stage that you have your eye on?
I think there's 3 good things really. Is Footpad in Leopardstown, Det Duty will probably beat Invitation Only, I'd imagine, if they meet in Limerick. And Apple's Jade, I think, will win the 3 miler. But I like Super Sunday in that race each way, perhaps. I don't think Nichols Canyon is as good going left-handed, even though he's won a World Hurdle or a Stairs Hurdle. I'd be against Megley Khan. I have backed it for Cheltenham, but I just think at odds on in the Novice Hurdle in Leopardstown, I just don't know if I saw enough in Fairy House. I don't think I'll back that.
Jack Kennedy thinks that horse is actually better going right-handed as well.
Yeah, you were saying that.
A mild thing, but yeah.
Even though it's won twice in Navan, but I'm not going to back Monolly. I have it back for Cheltenham like you have. I think even money's a little bit short.
You're giving away all my bets here.
Sorry. We have a lot of similar bets.
You don't like that even money though, or thereabouts for the...
I don't think so. I think that, like Alboon Photo, for example, is 9-1. There was only a length between them last year in April in Punchestown. That one over 2 mile 1 in Navan. Monolly only beat any second now in Sutton Manor. The 2 of them have been well beaten since, so its hurdle rating was 145. I just think evens is a bit short. If I was getting bigger, I might be tempted. He's a fantastic jumper of a fence though, isn't he?
What a natural first time out. And I suppose any of those, Ante-Post Cumes you're doing, throw in Bouverdare as well. Formality, you would imagine, at Kent.
Bouverdare, yes, he's a certainty. And personally, I'd go for Might Bite and the King George. Do you have a thought on that?
I'm really looking forward to seeing him, actually, to be fair. And I think he's a great chance to King George. I think.
Flat track, right-handed.
Do you remember when Kicking King ran in the race and Santa Claus, a fella dressed as Santa Claus, ran across? Might Bite wouldn't want anything like that. He just wanted to be fairly straightforward. There's enough in his head as it is, like.
And the last one I'll give is just, I think Oscar Knight and the Paddy Power, each way at 12-1 is decent value. It was third last year. A couple of things happened. It clobbered the second last on the first circuit. A horse fell in front of it on the first fence down the back straight. But it did really well to be third last year. £6 higher, but at 12-1, it's had a far better preparation. It beat Diamond Colchois and Glenlow the last day, and that form looks good.
What do you make of Maldini in that race?
I think maybe an Irish National or a 4-miler at Cheltenham might suit it better.
Still a novice, could run the 4-miler.
Yeah,
if Presenting Percy doesn't. Keep an eye out on Presenting Percy's plan as well. I think if he runs the 4-miler, he's one of the certainties of Cheltenham. But that is all for now. Thanks very much for coming in, Gavin.
Thank you, Johnny. Happy Christmas.
And same to yourself. And we shall see you again soon.